A wonderful time here and see a lot of great things that the people here are seeing right now. And one of the things that will impact, if you're watching around, is weather. And we are lucky because we have Jeff George right here, Fox 25 meteorologist, who can tell us a little bit about what's going on weather-wise.
To be honest with you, if you can't make it out this afternoon, it's okay. I'd make plans of coming out tomorrow, because what a lot of people maybe here don't realize is that we're about to get some heavy storms roll in here in about an hour and a half. So, I'm a military-trained weather forecaster. I'm also a TV weatherman too, meteorologist, and you put the two together with all the aircraft and you see this big storm coming in, it's bad news, because we're thinking about there's going to be some of the flying missions or the acts that are not going to be able to fly. So right now it's, what time is it, 12:30? So we're expecting the storms to roll in here and hit the base in about an hour to hour and a half. So about 1:30 or 2 o'clock, we're going to have a lot of heavy rain, lightning coming in. The storms are sub-severe right now. You know, there's some wind and hail associated with them, but really the main threat with these storms is going to be the lightning. I mean, there's going to be a ton of lightning coming in too. Again, that's between 1:30 and 2. That's the ETA, that's the start time. And when the storms do arrive, you figure get about 20-30 minutes of heavy storms and rain and lightning. And then right behind that, it looks like we have a shield of some light rain, just a big cloud deck that's going to spit out and produce some light rain showers on top of everything else too. So I hate to put a damper and poo-poo on the on the afternoon, but starting around 2 o'clock, there may not be able to be a lot of air acts after that.
Well, it is Oklahoma, so you've got to be flexible around here. But we wanted to also introduce the air refueling wing for the 507th and the KC-135 mission. We've got a little package ready to go, so you can learn about the from our Okies, hometown Okies, who are always flexible. As you see some of these aircraft come back in from the Vietnam reenactment, there's a C-7 Caribou coming up, taxiing in. It's got his ramp down. It's where the troops and cargo would go in. And
that was an awesome presentation.
That was cool. It was very great to see and hear.
I don't know if anyone expected the loud booms and the bangs and that whole thing. I mean, because you know maybe it's coming, but I don't know if anyone expected it to be on a big scale like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
the pyrotechnics were great.
Absolutely, no problem.
Amazing.
The pyrotechnics were great. We've got a lot of great stuff going on out here right now. And once again, we're going to try to get us over to a package on the 507th Air Refueling Wing, flying the KC-135, our hometown Okies. And here we go.
All right, thanks, guys. We're here with Colonel Miles Heaslip from the 507th Air Refueling Wing here at Tinker Air Force Base. Thanks for coming out, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about what folks are going to expect to see here at the air show today?
Well, they should be able to see the full complement of the Air Force airplanes, everything from fighters to heavies, and kind of get a little bit of taste, or a little taste of how we do business in the Air Force.
Awesome. We're right here in front of the KC-135. Can you tell me a little bit about this airplane?
Yeah, the KC-135 was developed in the 1950s, specifically to refuel B-52s when they were loaded down with bombs. Since then, we've moved into being able to refuel all the Air Force aircraft that we fly in the Air Force today.
Awesome. A lot of folks in line waiting to see this this aircraft. Anything else you want to add to the guests that are going to be here today?
No, just enjoy it. And like I said, if you have questions, ask them.
Awesome. Thanks again, sir. Appreciate you. All right. Back to you guys.
We're back from Major Quinlan, and as a package on the 507th Air Refueling Wing and the KC-135 tanker. I want to tell you about the tanker. You know, how many tankers do we have here at the airbase, Ron? Do you know?
Well, I would say about 12, I think.
That's 12 that are just here flying. There's a whole bunch more here, my friend, that are all in pieces behind us, maintained by the world's greatest mechanics. We've got a workforce here that is top-notch touch mechanics that take these airplanes apart. Take them. It's almost like if you were to take your car apart down to the nuts and bolts, put it aside, inspect everything, paint it, replace what needs to be replaced, and then put it back together again. But I don't want to be the test driver after you do that.
Oh, okay, well, fine. I won't do that. But we'd like to tell you more about the workforce is the technology that we have here. We have 3D printing here, so we do additive manufacturing. Planes like the KC-135, the last one came off the production line in 1963. So parts are always hard to come by. And so we've had to reverse engineer and make new parts here at Tinker for the aircraft. And they do a great job of that.
You manufacture parts from other parts?
Yeah, they go back and they'll do that, and like I say, reverse engineer and then make it.
Wow.
And they have different machines that can do that. That a computer generated that will, like when they cut metal, they can use high pressure water to cut through like 6 inches of aluminum or the metal that they would be using, and so they can cut the piece to what they need, fabricate it, and put it on, because they have to do a lot of the reskinning of the aircraft when they come in. A lot of them will be corrosion, cracks, especially around the landing gear, the struts, and around on the wings. So they have to do a lot of it. That's why they strip the plane down to bare metal. They go over it, inspect it to see what's going to be on, and go that.
Now, how often do they do that? Like
a plane comes in here once every 5 years on the 135 to go through that. But right now, Greg, what we got right now?
So we've got Kent Peisch and his Piper, Jelly Belly Piper, again doing a performance. He's doing stuff a student pilot wouldn't want to do. I would never want a student pilot to do this. He's going to show us all kinds of aerobatics, and you can see he's got streamers, smoke streamers on his wingtips, putting out some smoke so you can really understand what he's doing with that airplane. And a lot of this is energy management.
The free falling is just
he's using that motor to go as high as he can, and then he's building up speed on the backside of that maneuver to come back down and do it again. So,
Greg, when you got to do something like that for the first time, I mean, you're by yourself, right? So you just got to does it take I know you're trying to get going here, like, okay, I'm going to do it. It's like jumping into a cold pool of water. You're like, okay, I'm going now. I mean, I don't know how else to ask this. I mean, but do you chicken out sometimes on the first few times you're trying to
a lot
practice?
of it you build up to. You build up to understanding the airplane and understanding how it works and flies. And it's also not just about the airplane, it's about your confidence.
Yeah.
So if you, obviously Kent is a super qualified, confident pilot. He knows his airplane inside and out. He knows his capabilities. I suspect he probably watched somebody do some of this stuff before he actually went out and did it himself. But you're right. There is a point in time where you'll get in the airplane and it'll just be you and at the controls, and you're going to have to figure out whether you're going to have the ability to make that airplane do a loop and come out and do it safely, or a roll, or whatever maneuver you're trying to do. But sometimes there's a little bit of hesitation, I can tell you that.
Because there's no flight simulator for anything like this, right?
There's not really a flight simulator, but here comes Kent in one of his famous maneuvers. Watch this. He's going to land his airplane on top of a moving vehicle. So this is the ultimate in pilot skill. You can see he's trying to get down and get in. He's got to sync his speed with the truck as it's moving, and it looks like he's having a little trouble there. But he's got one wheel on, one wheel off. But I'm sure he'll get it down. There goes our famous Tinker Tower in the background. We love to see that in the video. Oh, looks like they're going to have to reverse and try it again. But you can see Kent's got the old style NC registration on his airplane wing. That's from the early days. That's before we turned into just an N number system where you register your airplane, like mine has an N number. They had NC.
That's old school.
Here he goes again.
Here he goes. He missed him. He's going a little too fast, it looks like. But I'm sure the truck will catch up, or he'll do something like a crazy loop.
Oh, I think he's going to loop around and try to get on it.
Well, it looks like he may do something like that. So here we are on the backside. If it works out, he's going to be perfectly timed to catch up and slow down and try to meet up. He's missed it again. You'd think they'd have practiced this before.
Well, I'm sure
it's still cool no matter what.
No, they've practiced this. This is part of their routine. He's going to reverse the course, and I think this is the time where he's going to show his real skill. Put the airplane down on the moving truck and stay there.
So
And
we were just warming up. Those were warm-ups?
Yeah, it's an impressive sight. Watch this as he puts the main landing gear down, slowly inches it forward, and comes to a stop right above, or right at the front edge of that platform.
There we go.
They've got built in there.
Nailed it.
And right now he's getting that airplane stable, or trying to. And obviously it's sponsored by Jelly Belly. Both the truck and the airplane have Jelly Belly all over them. So they're pretty famous, candies. It's got the American flag and the POW flag flying from the tailgate of that Chevy truck. And he's off again.
You think the driver of the truck is a little nervous too?
Gosh, I would be.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Well, you just got to keep it straight and at a steady speed. That's all you got to worry about until you hear the thump of the wheels hitting down, right?
Yeah. So obviously they're going to do it one more time.
It'd be kind of great if you just had like a big sack full of jelly beans, just dropped them on the crowd. It'd be like raining jelly bellies.
Great. I'm ready for some.
I'm jumping out there and grabbing a handful.
So looks like he's doing a low pass. Going to go length of our runway probably until he can catch up. Oh, he's off again. We had him right with the truck, and their timing is off, it seems like.
Well,
today.
I got a feeling that, with these storms coming in, there may be some low-level winds or a little bit of wind shear coming in with the storms. These low-level winds are about to pick up a lot, and an aircraft like that can't take too much.
It does get blown around. He's a very confident pilot. He's doing a lot of this for the crowd and for the cameras as well. It's great to be able to take a picture of that airplane landing on that truck and get a really cool shot. It's nothing you see at every airport on a weekday.
Here he comes again. Here we go.
So, all right. And the airplane is painted in the world famous Piper yellow.
Oh, okay.
So obviously got a little bit of a modification with the red and all the Jelly Belly stuff, but that's a world famous Piper. Most of the aircraft coming out of the factory had that yellow paint scheme. So if you talk to somebody about an early model Piper, you can practically guarantee that it's going to be a yellow airplane.
It's perfect for if you're trying to decorate with jelly beans.
Absolutely. There we are. They're two together, and flags are flying, Jelly Bellies all over.
So it doesn't count until he gets the back weel down, right? It's not
we'll see.
Technical landing until he gets it down.
He may take it off again. You never know.
3 feet.
Yeah, that's skill there. He's got it down. He's got that tail wheel down. And that is absolutely the case for a tail wheel aircraft. You've got to be in control of that tail wheel to make sure the airplane's doing what you want it to do.
Woo. And I think Doc is getting ready to go off. Yep. There's our Super Fortress, the B-29.
Well, I'll tell you, Jeff, the airplane we have out in our Charles B. Hall Air Park was a version of this airplane that they used to use for weather.
Oh, really?
They used to do some weather tests and weather observation from a weather squadron in Georgia. We were lucky to have it retired here. The last airplane, the last B-29 to land at Tinker Air Force Base was that airplane, and that was about 50 years ago until yesterday.
Was it mostly like recon, or were they doing like
it was
weather
recon?
Gotcha. Nice.
Yep. But yesterday that all changed when Doc flew down and landed on our runway at about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. First time in about 5 decades we've had a B-29. But I'm going to toss to Ron and let him tell you about the B-29 and why it's important to tinker.
Well, that's good. Why it's important to tinker. I like that. That's funny. I like that. Toss it to me. Well, as you see, they're warming the engines up, getting ready to go by and take off and do a flyby to show the aircraft to the crowd. Well, the B-29 was modified here at Tinker during World War II. In fact, the most famous B-29, the Enola Gay, which dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, Japan, was modified here at Tinker, and they did that. Had to have a special the work that they had to do to carry such a large bomb, for one thing. That wasn't what they normally carried on the bomb load. But they did that here, and there's an urban legend that our base historians could never really confirm, but it goes around that over by the Tinker Event Center, there is a on display there is a propeller from a B-29, and they say, the urban legend is that it was from the Enola Gay. It was one of the modifications. They got
cool.
a new set of propellers because they had to have it to be able to carry the heavy load, so they had to get some different propellers on there among the modifications. But I can't confirm or deny whether that's true, but it does get around. That's why it's an urban legend.
Well, during the modifications way back when, you were here taking some photos, right?
Yeah, I really was. I'm older than I look, ladies and gentlemen. No, I think you have me confused with my grandfather, probably.
Do we? Right. Probably, yeah.
Probably.
The B-29's a historic aircraft for the U.S. Air Force and the Army Air Corps, but especially for Tinker. In all seriousness, Tinker played a major role in the ending of World War II in the Pacific.
Yeah, I got a fact sheet here, and this doesn't really make, it doesn't make sense to me because when you read it, because it said, in 1951, Doc was assigned to radar calibration duty along with other B-29s. The squadron was known as the 7 Force. In 1955, Doc was assigned to target towing duty in March, a year later, and then all of a sudden, for 42 years, that aircraft sat in the Mojave Desert for 42 years as a target for the U.S. Navy, and in 1987, Tony Mazzolini found Doc and began plans to remove and eventually restore the B-29, this warbird, to flying status.
It's absolutely incredible.
That's an amazing story.
It returned to flying status about a year ago after an extensive restoration. I can tell you, the airplane sat in the desert for so many years.
42 years.
42 years.
It was a sitting duck.
And if you think about this, we have to be thankful that all those pilots that were training to drop bombs were still learning and weren't that accurate, because if they had been accurate, we wouldn't be able to see this airplane flying today.
It wouldn't be here.
So it's a remarkable sight. These big, giant turboprops, not turboprops, they're Pratt & Whitney, I believe. Pratt & Whitney radial engines, that's what I'm thinking of. I couldn't think of it. I was returning to the old days, Ron.
Now the tick marks, the red tick marks on the front are...
That's a B-25. Those are bomb markings from combat on this B-25 we're seeing taxi out. That's a B-25 Liberator. Saw combat, I believe, in the European theater, and that's what those marks are from. And with those big engines, big radial engines that play through the air. So quite stunning. And one of the most impressive things, if you look at some of the airplanes, is the maintenance that goes into these, but also for Doc, it's a highly polished aluminum aircraft. The entire, almost beautiful. The entire airplane. I'll let you polish that one because after just a few minutes.
Get some practice and go around. But it's kind of cool because, like I mentioned, the squadron back in 1951 was the 7 Dwarfs, and somehow it chose Doc as the name of the aircraft. And I love that part of it too. Then you saw, what was the aircraft with Bugs Bunny on it?
I think it was the B-25.
Okay, 25. Yeah, you mentioned that.
B-25 Liberator. So what we're seeing here is a display of classic World War II strategic air power. Remember, these airplanes, the B-29 was one of the largest airplanes, bombers at the time, but the B-25, if you look at it in relative size in comparison to an airliner today, it's not that big.
Right.
So it was a medium bomber, not a heavy bomber like the B-17 or the B-24.
Oh, well, let's make sure we talk about this airplane coming in here.
Right now.
Right now we've got an exclusive. This is the first time that we've had the KC-46A Pegasus tanker. It's coming down from McConnell Air Force Base doing a flyby for us. And he's got a boom down. Now this is the replacement for the tanker we saw earlier, the KC-135. And these are newly delivered airplanes. Some of them have the new car smell still.
No way.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. So this is the new breed of refueling aircraft?
This is the new breed. It's going to slowly...
The future of air refueling is in that aircraft right there. So we've had the past, the present, future. It's going along with our theme today.
Yep.
You know, we had the warbirds, the B-29 there from the past, and our current planes that are flying that are that, and then the future represented by the KC-46A Pegasus. So it's great.
But I'll tell you, Jeff, one of the great things about the KC-46 is as they're delivered, their maintenance home is going to be right here at Tinker. Oklahoma City is a home. We're building hangars here to take over that maintenance mission when they need it. They're brand new airplanes, so we don't expect to see them for quite a while. But
what makes it more advanced than the KC-135?
Well, it's a much more modern airframe. So a lot of the airframes, as Ron mentioned before, from the KC-135 were built in the late 50s to early 60s, and they're pretty well worn out.
Right.
So we need some new blood. We've got fresh airframes coming in that are going to fly for 50 or 60 years themselves, and we'll be able to automate a lot of the refueling tasks. Some of them are, the boom operator has been removed and moved up front. It's now done by video cameras in a station that's up front toward the cockpit. The boom operator flies the boom just like you would fly a video game.
It sounds like you built this thing. Right?
Well, I didn't build it, but I know a lot about it. It's a great airplane. I can tell you the Air Force has invested a lot of money and resources into the airplane, and we're proud to finally be getting them to help with the air refueling mission, because that mission never ends.
Because they'll be able to carry more fuel on board to pass gas, as it were, to the receivers. And also they can take more cargo too, because the 135 not only is it a refueler, it is also a cargo plane too. So it has a side hatch that opens up, and they can put on pallets of cargo in addition to being an air refueler. So
it looks smaller. Is it smaller or about the same?
It's a little bit bigger actually.
Bigger. Okay,
it looks smaller because it's got two big engines instead of four. That makes it look like it's smaller.
But I can tell you the KC-46, the engines, it's only got two, but they're super highly efficient. They're high efficient turbo bypass engines, or high bypass engines as they call them today, that are they've got a lot of thrust. They'll keep the airplane airborne and not burn a lot of the fuel that you actually want to be giving away to your receivers.
Yeah.
So
it's also really cool to look at So I'm just gathering. I mean, I know this common sense for us, but just for everyone listening right now. So to try to refuel in an air show, and that's not really doable.
Well, we don't do it here for safety reasons. That you can see it sometimes in other countries. They'll do a display, or they'll get very close and they'll have what they call the receiver hold the pre-contact position, which is just a few feet away. So it gives a visual for 300,000 people sitting down here on the ground to see and understand what it looks like. But they also keep that safety margin built in. And that's what we always want to do around here.
That's why, because you have to be like at a medium to high altitude to really refuel, right? This low altitude.
They get up, they get up pretty high.
Yeah.
Do that. Looks like the B-25 Mitchell bomber is getting ready, along with the B-29 Super Fortress, to take off. I do believe one of them's rolling. I can hear him now.
Yeah.
But I think it's also wafting that smell of kettle corn popcorn in here too. It's
kettle corn popcorn,
really
yes
good.
Indeed.
And that's another great thing about the air show. If you're considering coming out tomorrow, because we're shut down for today, it's great food. It's great vendors here. I mean, everything from junk food, the barbecue, to what else do we have here? We got ice cream, and you name it. You won't leave hungry.
Not only that, we've got air show sponsors like Jack Links. They're giving away some great beef jerky. So all the sponsors are out here. We've got our STEM City attraction, which is great for kids as well as adults who want to encourage their kids to get into science, technology, engineering, and math, and have a lot of fun doing it. So it's a great way to see that kind of stuff. But I also want to point out that it's a great way to come out and interact with the people wearing the uniform, and understand that everybody out here, they're all dedicated servants to our nation, and what they do. And a lot of folks may not get recognized for it. They're not the pilots getting the limelight, if you will. But we were talking earlier, a lot of this stuff doesn't happen without the maintenance and the maintainers to keep these airplanes flying and restored.
There are, I mean, we do have recruiters here, if in case if you're interested in joining the Air Force, Air Guard. I believe there's Army recruiters here too, or maybe
Absolutely.
Navy, or I think all branches are represented. But if I wanted to be an Air Force mechanic and work on any of these aircraft, what am I getting myself into as far as training and tech school? And
well, training, I can tell you for the Air Force, we've got some of the best mechanics. You'll do a test and see where your mechanical aptitude is. But if you become a mechanic, you go to one of the best schools down in Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas. You learn all about mechanical or aircraft mechanics. Maintenance is what they call it. And then you'll go out and you'll get this great experience around the world working on some of the best fighters, tankers, bombers, refueling aircraft, reconnaissance aircraft. And then a lot of people transition back to the civilian sector and get great jobs.
Yeah, great jobs.
They really do. They walk out and get high-paying jobs.
Now, for those that don't necessarily want to go into the military, but you can go to school and become a jet engine mechanic. We have a partnership and education program that we have with 3 local technical training centers that we have that encourage their folks to like say, for example, in jet engine mechanics. It's like an 18-month program and so they get, I should say, it's a 2-year program. They'll have, at about 18 months, if you can qualify to get into here, you get a part-time job here and work while you're going to school to finish up. And so you're learning that. When you graduate, you get a full-time job, and you're into the system, and you can be working, serving your country, being a mechanic here, as a civilian mechanic here at Tinker. We have a lot of civilians that work out here. More civilians work here at Tinker than work at other bases. So we have more civilians than military. You know, strange to say, but yeah, we have about 17,000 workers out here that are civilian, about 8,000 military. So you can see the difference. So there's a lot of opportunities.
How long does it take to, like, if I went from day one from the day one of school to actually being a mechanic, how long does that take?
In the military or
well, military first.
I'm not sure what, it depends on the various disciplines that you're doing, what kind of mechanic.
Most technical schools are over a year long for those kind of things.
Sense.
But I want to toss back to what we're seeing on the screen with the B-25 airborne now and the B-29s following behind. We're talking about mechanics. A lot of the second largest industry in Oklahoma is aviation.
Right.
And a lot of that started because in World War II, we did so much maintenance here that we maintained all the airplanes, and then a lot of the people had very specialized skills. So as they downsized later, and the airplanes were dispersed and went on to different lives, there was still the need for expertise in maintaining engines and airplanes. So a lot of these specialty shops that end up in Oklahoma City and Tulsa are direct descendants of what happened here at Tinker, and they still do a lot of that stuff. Some of these engines are maintained. They'll take them off, they'll ship them up to Tulsa or into here to Oklahoma City, and a lot of the maintenance will be done right here. It's a great legacy that we're very proud of.
There's so I mean, there's so much history in this state. Like the first tornado warning ever was broadcasted, was issued here in the state of Oklahoma. The first tornado warning.
Tinker Air Force Base.
Tinker
Air Force Base by a major.
1947.
Yep.
Yes, indeed.
It was two majors, right?
Yes, two majors.
Weather offices. Holy cow.
That's an amazing aircraft.
Speaking of weather, we just had the B-30s or B-29 flying by. He's going into the clouds that we see approaching in the background, and we've got the B-25 doing a high-speed pass here. He's got the bomb bay doors closed. He's very clean, and he's going to come zipping by here. So I encourage anybody that's watching. Oh, look, he just opened the bomb bay doors. Now he's going to show the business end. So he's still moving at pretty high speed. But if you've got your cameras, I hope you're getting some good photos of this act happening right here. And we've got Miss America, North American P-51 Mustang. That sound of that beautiful Merlin engine and that giant prop as he picks up speed, the tail wheel comes off. He's rolling down the runway. Main gear's going to come off, and watch him. He's going to put that gear up pretty quick, accelerate, and keep on going. Off we go. He's already making his turn. He's going to join up with the bombers, I believe, as they come back around and give us a little bit of show. It's such a great sound to hear that Merlin engine on a P-51.
Yeah, I'm doing a weather check, so the storms are about 30 to 45 minutes away.
All right.
From hitting the base.
Okay.
And that stinks because, I mean, I think we'll get this, looks like we'll get this act in. And it's really hard to say what's going to happen after that.
Yep. And there's the top side of the B-25 Mitchell. Beautiful aluminum aircraft. And here we have the B-29 as well. He's in a turn showing off the top side. Those big engines pulling that airplane through the air. You can see it's got the distinctive wing, which is also associated with other aircraft that came later from the B-36. There's B-25 making another pass.
Yeah, and we worked on the B-25 here at Tinker.
We sure
did.
They
built them here. And
yep.
Also, of course, Jimmy Doolittle back there in the raid.
Oh, yeah.
It was B-25, that medium bomber off of a carrier. 16 of them.
Yep.
And sad to say, we just had the last of the Doolittle Raiders passed away.
Just a few months ago.
Just a few months ago, and they had a toast. He was the last.
Yeah.
But I always found it amazing to think of a plane like this taking off from a carrier.
Well, now that we're talking about warbirds and looking at some of this stuff from World War II, there's a P-51. I wanted to also mention that right now we don't have any of the aircraft that Tinker's most famously associated with that were built right here, which is a C-47 or DC-3 Dakota, also called the Goonie Bird. Now, the reason we don't have any of those here for this air show, because there's still a lot of them flying, is most of those flying airplanes are actually over in Europe right now.
Wow.
To celebrate the D-Day invasion. The flyable aircraft have made a trek from the U.S. across Newfoundland and Canada and down over into England and into France to celebrate the 75th anniversary of the D-Day invasion.
What's the story behind the Goonie Bird? The name is there?
Well,
you know?
It was ungainly and and didn't look too good, so it didn't take it didn't get a good name, but it did the job.
Yeah.
And like most airplanes back then, they were mass produced here by Douglas in the building just behind us in 3001. It's now called, and they were producing airplanes faster than you could shake a stick.
And they're a very reliable airplane. And they flew in the Pacific, in the Indochina, flying the hump in Burma,
right.
Flying supplies everywhere. Like you say, using it as a troop carrier for the 82nd Airborne, the 101st, and they went into Normandy, D-Day in June 6, 1944, which will be coming up this week.
Absolutely.
The anniversary, so it's amazing. We have one in our air park. We have a C-47 in our air park.
Yep. And there's also one that was just rescued from the scrap heap recently, just a few years ago, and put into a park in Midwest City, which is a city just north of the base. Let's take a minute and pause and watch this B-29 come by and look at the majesty of these engines and the beautiful aluminum.
And the sound of freedom.
Absolutely. That was your banana photo pass, folks. If you didn't get it, you've missed a great opportunity, especially with these clouds in the background, to make that airplane stand out. Hopefully it's going to come back around and give you another shot. But we do have some storms that are approaching the base. So if you're watching this and you're on the line, take note. Make sure that you're watching the weather. If it does start to rain or we do have some lightning, we're going to want you to take shelter in some of these hangars behind you, or move to a safe area where you can be off the flight line and not be an attraction for
we're at max capacity today.
Yeah.
And that's why, if in case you missed it earlier, they've closed the gates. They're not allowing anyone in till tomorrow. And so if you want to come tomorrow, make sure you show up early. and get a parking spot and make sure you get your place here. And then a big shout out to our production crew too. I mean, these are great shots that we're getting. The Tinker team, and we have a production team coming in from Hill Air Force Base also. And they're doing a great job showing you at home, or if you're watching online, what's going on here.
Yeah, we really appreciate those folks that are helping us out, and they're uniform wearers and civilians that are some of the best in the business for the Air Force. They've taken the lead on this live broadcast and given us another venue to present, especially since we've reached the max capacity, and we probably have a lot more people tuning in now than we ever thought.
Yeah,
so.
I would think so. And I just hate to think that there's going to be some storms that roll in here. They're going to put a damper on a big part of the afternoon. So I hope we can get in what we can. And then obviously we're going to have to shut down for at least a little while because we got lightning and thunder and at least some small hail and strong winds coming in too. There's almost no tornado threat, so we're not concerned about that, just so you know. But I mean, the lightning is going to be bad enough by itself. It's going to sound scary. It's going to look scary. Winds will be picking up here pretty soon too. And hopefully we can, when we do shut down, hopefully we can get back to broadcasting and get everything going again soon.
Well, even sitting in our broadcast booth, we can start to hear some of the boomer of the thunder in the background. So as it comes in from the west, we've got another boomer right here, the big B-29 Strato Fortress coming down. He's got a nose down attitude. He's going to put it on the ground, probably in time to get out of the way of this weather, I think. They probably have the best view of the day of seeing this weather coming in. So
you don't really need a weather report from the sky today. You can just see it coming from miles. It's a huge thunderstorm complex we have coming in. It's not just one storm. There's about 7 or 8 storms lined up along a round or a big wave that's coming in. The leaning edge, again, will give us a lot of lightning, thunder, little hail, some wind, of course, a lot of rain too. And as that passes through, then don't forget, even though we may not get anyone up in the sky for an hour or so, we still have a lot of static aircraft on the ground here that are really, really impressive too. So we might be talking a lot more about the static aircraft here.
Absolutely.
And STEM, because people might go into the STEM hangar that way.
That's for sure. Well, here we go. We can, this visual we're looking at right now is a beautiful nose art on the majestically restored dock as he taxis in, taxis past our tower and our world famous tower with our Tinker sign on it. And he's probably going to slow down and hit one of our taxiways, turn off and come back to park here in a minute. It's wearing the classic markings from that era. Here's our B-25 on approach. It's got the gear down, ready to land, get out of the way of these storms. It's got those yellow cowls around the engines so that the maintainers at the time, they could see whether the aircraft was, whether the engines were leaking oil. That was an indicator. So you had that the yellow, and if you had an oil leak, you could immediately tell where it was.
No kidding.
So that's one of the reasons they do stuff like that.
And the really cool thing is the crowd is really sticking this out too. I mean, they know there's a big storm coming in, and they're just out there. I think they're going to stay out there to the last minute and get a chance to see the final act or two.
Absolutely.
Before we got to take cover.
Well, Okies are pretty resilient, so they're going to do what they can to bear with it, and then run out of here at the last minute, or they're just well prepared for it to change like it always does.
Yeah, but hey, there's no tornadoes and funnels. We're going to stay out of here as long as we can. And and I think that when I look at that B-29, I remember when I was a kid, I used to build model aircraft. And I swear, I think I built one of those.
We all did, my friend. We all did.
I mean, just sat there for hours, and put your stickers on and painted it. And I want to say, I even had, because for the longest time, in the toy stores, we didn't have all the fancy toys that everyone has to play with right now. We play with Matchbox cars and planes and old warplanes and everything like that.
Okay, here we go with the North American P-51 Mustang. This is Miss America.
Cool.
It's painted in red, white, and blue. And the great thing, Jeff, if you didn't know, this airplane is actually based on the north side of Oklahoma City.
Oh, no.
It's up at one of our local regional airports and flies quite a bit. I think they even do some air racing with this airplane. So
racing?
Air racing, yes, out in Reno, Nevada. It's one of our famous air races, and comes in and they compete in a high performance air race. There's different classes, so they've got the classic Warbird, then they have jets that compete, and some other small airplanes. But
when you say racing, what do you mean? Who are they racing against?
They race against each other around pylons at Reno, Nevada.
So there's more than one aircraft. So the same aircraft you're saying? Or?
Oh, there's a bunch of aircraft in that class that go up and fly together and try to compete for the fastest time around the series of pylons. And it is, I'll tell you, it's great to see. The aircraft are super impressive. The pilots are especially impressive. But one of the things that we can be thankful for this type of aeronautics is the fact that they always push the envelope. Yeah. So we've had a lot of developments happen over the years because of air racing and the fact that they're speeding up these airplanes, making the engines more efficient, coming up with different styles of propellers.
So it's like a Fast and the Furious in the air. But what are they trying to gain? Is this just for fun, or is this for bragging rights? Or
well, I'll tell you, it's a lot of bragging rights. Yeah. That's for sure. If you win your class, it is bragging rights and then some. But it is for fun. It's competition. It's mostly to ensure that everybody has a chance to get out and exercise their aircraft, keep their pilot skills up, and it's sort of like NASCAR drag or NASCAR racing around a track. Everybody does it to turn left and go fast. That's exactly what these guys are doing. They're turning left and going fast, and they're doing it inches away from each other in some cases.
Yeah, it's in formation. Cool. You wonder how something like that got started. I mean, was it just like a friendly race? They were sitting there, having a few beers, like, hey, I can go faster than you. How long have you been doing this? And all of a sudden, let's find out. And you go, and it becomes like a.
It sort of started out like that. A lot of it was people that bought up Warbirds decided that they wanted to push them and see how fast they could go. And so they started having little competition between themselves and working through that. And then like I said, they started developing different things for different propellers and stuff like that. So it's been really great. That's just another one of the aircraft. That was a P-51. But now I'm going to toss it back to you and let you introduce our next guest.
Yes, we have another special guest with us this afternoon. It's Colonel Trinkle.
Nice to meet you,
ma'am. How are you?
We're doing great.
Yeah, and please tell us what you're here for.
Well, we are out here. The 72nd Medical Group is out here providing some support to the air show. We are actually out here ensuring that people are staying hydrated. They're getting cooled off. They're resting appropriately, preventing any type of heat injuries, and just keeping an eye on folks. We've taken care of some scrapes, bumps, and bruises so far, but
we're doing okay so far. No major fallouts.
No major fallouts. Yeah. We got some roving medics out there, just keeping an eye on things, and of course, we're also manning the lost child tent and taking care of business.
How's that going so far?
Good, great. Everything is been fantastic out here. As a matter of fact, with the clouds rolling in, it's providing a little bit of shade. We were actually up to about 87 degrees earlier. And it was a little hot.
Did it get up to 87?
It did.
And that was like at 1 o'clock, so we were well on our way to 90 before these clouds came in.
Absolutely. And that's our biggest fear, is when the temperatures start getting that high, that people don't hydrate, they don't slow down, they don't rest, and then...
You get a lot of beer, you get a lot of food, and then
Absolutely. And that can be a serious risk for folks.
Good. Well, I'm glad everything is going well so far. Let's hope it keeps on doing that, because I know we're at max capacity today, so this is what you see is what you get. And how long have you been here at Tinker?
I've been here for about a year as the medical group commander out at the 72nd Medical Group.
Oh, great. And as far as the air show is concerned, I mean, how do you guys prep for something like this? I mean, how long have you been preparing, and what do you got to do?
We've actually been preparing for a couple of months on this. Yeah. Of course, doing something this big and taking care of, so many folks and keeping an eye on everything. You have to do a lot of practicing. Right. You got to make sure that you're set up right. You've got coverage for the entire area.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you also have to practice just in case something bad happens. So we've been doing a lot of training.
What would be like the worst case scenario you would think with something like this today?
It could be, you know, an aircraft crash.
Yeah.
You know, you don't ever want to talk about that, but that is the worst case scenario. So in preparation for that, we actually do training for that. We've been doing triage training with our medics. We do TCCC, which is a combat casualty course, to prepare them to be those first responders.
Okay. And do you have everyone who's walking around, your staff, are they encouraging people? Are you handing out water or just reminding people?
We're not handing out water, but we're encouraging people to stay hydrated. We're watching folks to make sure that they're not wobbly.
Are they all wearing the
Yes,
the patch?
absolutely. All of our medics are wearing the patches out there, so easily to identify. If you need help, find somebody with one of the patches on. And of course, we have the med tent. So if you're feeling lightheaded, dizzy, just not feeling that well, hop on over to the med tent. We're right by the kids zone in the STEM center, and we'll get you checked out.
Yeah.
How big is your staff today?
We've got about total 147 people. Split up all over the place, ready to take action if we need to, or to take care of people.
Well, that sounds like a lot, but it sounds about right, because if you got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people here, that's about right, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. And of course, you know, we augment doing other things too. Some, you know, as we're roving around, we're doing some security stuff for security forces and keeping an eye on things.
Okay. And then, so are you a doctor actually?
No, I am actually a critical care ICU nurse by trade. So, yep.
So most of the staff is the doctors and of course well-trained Air Force personnel.
Absolutely. We have got all of our enlisted personnel, our EMTs, medics. We've got a lot of administrative technicians out there, as well as doctors. Pediatrician. We got a pediatrician out here today.
Kid suckers for the kids and everything.
So vast majority of folks, and we also have our community partners out here. So they're out here helping us as well. Absolutely.
Oh, that's nice to see. You know, Oklahoma's always helping. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any more tips or safety information you'd like to give out to anybody?
Just if you start feeling dizzy, you're getting overheated, you got to stop what you're doing, get in the shade, hydrate, and rest. And if that's not working for you, you need to get a hold of one of us.
Okay. Thank you so much, Colonel Schrenkel,
absolutely.
Med Group Commander. Thanks so much for sharing everything with us. And I know you're not going anywhere. It's going to be a long weekend. I guess you're right back to work on Monday too, right?
Absolutely. We'll be seeing patients at 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday.
Oh, okay.
This is Wings of Blue, right?
And I hope that, I tell you what, I know the weather's coming in,
right
and
now?
I guess we have to be ready for any kind of weather situations.
Looks like it.
And because here's what we have, and we've been talking about this for about the past half hour to 45 minutes. In about a half hour to 40 minutes, and we don't have, it's not just one storm. We have a big cluster of storms that are lined up, and they're coming on in, and they have a lot of lightning. There's going to be a lot of rain too, and I know everyone, especially the past few weeks, is pretty. They have a lot of storm anxiety, and the tornado threat has been through the roof each and every day for the past, well, I'd say 14 out of the past 16 days. So we had a little bit of a break the past day or two, but now, I know when you see these storms come back into the city, come back into the metro, I think everyone's getting a little bit nervous now. But I want to let everyone know that we do have a wind threat, we have a hail threat, lightning is going to be a concern. The tornado threat with these storms coming in is almost zero, but that should not keep you from seeking shelter. So again, you know, when the storms break out here, we've got to make sure everyone, you know, gets into a safe spot or sheltered. Where are you heading, Greg?
Evidently, I'm heading out to the Emergency Operations Center. They're standing it up.
Okay, so we're standing up the EOC right now.
Great work.
Greg Davis, thank you, sir. Thanks for being with us. Doctor, can you hang out with me for just a few more minutes?
Sure.
I'd appreciate it. And we're going to bring Ron Mullen's coming back, of course. He's going to take back over co-hosting duties with me. Well, have you been able to watch the show so far?
Well, you know, it's funny. You know, I've been watching the Blue Angels practice for
Right.
the last couple of days from the medical group, and I was hoping we were going to see them today.
I don't know.
The full thing, but it's been amazing. You know, it's just been an awesome day. You know, the weather this morning was just absolutely fantastic. I know that there's lots of folks out here and they're enjoying the show. Everything from Colonel Bell dropping in.
That was wild, huh?
That was wild.
Did you see the proposal?
No, I missed that one.
Okay, just real quick there, you had, a local pilot, stunt pilot named Justin Lewis. He was doing some stunts and he came and landed, and I guess his girlfriend is part of the crew. I mean, she came out and was helping him, you know, get unbuckled and break down. And then while he was standing there, I mean, he took the microphone and addressed the crowd. And then one of the other aircraft made a big heart in the sky. So he proposed to her right here in front of all these thousands of people.
I missed that.
And she said, yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, we think she did. They hugged and kissed for about a minute. Like almost a long, awkward kiss. Yeah. And then, but it was really sweet. I'm sorry you missed that. But we go.
Okay.
Well, enjoying a lot of acrobatic flying as we wait for bad weather to come in, huh, Jeff?
Yeah, as you can see, the skies are not blue anymore. They're gray and they're dark, and there's some storms right on the horizon. So they will be arriving here on the airfield in less than 15 or 20 minutes, give or take a few minutes.
How severe are we going to hit?
Well, the severe thunderstorm warning is out. These storms are warned for up to ping pong ball sized hail, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And of course, what's not severe is the lightning. However, lightning will be one of the most dangerous features that we have with these thunderstorms coming in. It's not one storm, it's a big cluster of storms, Ron, that's going to last about, when it starts, when the rain starts and the lightning really starts to hit us, got about 30 minutes before we can bring people out of their shelter. So about 30 minutes of heavy rain, lightning, some wind and hail. And after that, there's going to be about another hour or so of some light to moderate rain with no lightning the way it's looking right now. So it's possible that when the storms start, in about 45 minutes to less than an hour after that, we may be able to resume flying missions and acts. That's the plan right now. So please make sure you, when we do shut down, when flying does go down, don't leave us for the whole day. We'll more than likely be back in less than an hour, but it's going to take a little while to kick these storms out of here, that's for sure.
Well, while we wait for the weather to come in, we have a package on the science, technology, engineering, and math there, STEM City, that we're going to present to you right now.
Thanks, guys. We're here with Melanie Greenwood, the STEM coordinator for Gordon Cooper Technology Center in Shawnee. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks so much. I'm excited to be here.
So the big question, first of all, we're at the Air and Space Show, but this is the first time we have ever had a STEM City hangar at the Air and Space Show. But the big question is, what exactly is STEM?
It's a great question. STEM's a hot topic right now. Parents want to know about it. Communities want to know about it. Kids can tell you it's science, technology, engineering, and math. We have science standards, we have math standards, but STEM is really putting those together through an engineering piece, using technology, creating technology, or learning how to pull those things all together into one experience.
Gosh, so important for the local Oklahoma communities and the youth in the local areas. Can you tell me why events like this are so important for our youth?
You know, this year alone, there were 81,000 STEM-related jobs in Oklahoma. And so places like Tinker, we know that we have to reach out and to start grabbing those kids at an earlier age to make sure that they know that they are 3 times more likely to land a job right here if they go into a STEM field, and to also double their wages. And so it's not just an education issue, it's an economic issue.
Perfect. So we took a little tour around the hangar, and we got to see a lot of the exhibits. Can you tell the guests what they'll see if they come out here to STEM City?
You bet. It's been an amazing job that we have a big variety in here. We have robotic stations, and if you don't know about robotics fits right into the engineering piece. Students learn how to code, and if you don't know what coding is, ask kids, because they speak code every day. Kindergartners can learn how to program things, and then they move right into CAD programming that works right into going into an engineering field.
Wow. So if there's one thing you wanted everyone to know out there that's listening, what is one thing you'd like to pass on to our folks that are listening about STEM?
Get involved. Find a STEM camp. Talk to your school. What STEM programs do you have going on? Go to your career techs. Work with your schools. Find the things that are going on, because kids need to know even earlier than, waiting until high school, it's too late. We want to get them involved and get them out looking for jobs right here in Oklahoma that involve STEM.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and we're happy to be out here at the STEM City. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please come out here to STEM City. And with that, back to you guys.
And as you can see by the look on your screen, those are severe thunderstorms coming in. And we had some nice quiet weather for the past few days. We had some nice quiet weather up until really just a few minutes ago. So we had Thursday and Friday, and mostly all this morning, we're on a beautiful weather. It looked like we were going to get off easy. It looked like we were going to get through this whole air show without any kind of stormy weather. That's not going to happen. So what's going to happen is that those storms that you see rolling in, we can hear the thunder right now. We're about to get a lot of lightning. There's hail and wind in those storms too. And so flying is shut down right now. So we're going to go ahead and ground everyone. There's still going to be, everyone's going to stay, I would think. I guess we may chase a few people out the door, but so we're going to shut down for at least a half hour. That's how long it's going to take for these storms to get through here. So please come back and check in on us. In about a half hour, no matter what's going on, we'll let you know what's going to happen after that, if we need to keep on delaying and that kind of thing. Okay. And then, so right now we're going to go ahead and take a break, and then we'll be back with you soon.
All right, see you later.